I actually hate what I'm doing. I don't like the people, like all of the connotations of like your finance bro are true.
What kind of expectations do you feel your parents had for you?
It was pressure. I just didn't really feel like I had the agency to say no.
How has your income changed since you were working for someone else versus working for yourself?
Income fell dramatically from finance, and I knew that was going to happen. People make a lot of money in finance. That's why so many of them are miserable and they stay there forever. I started my own business in 2023, and I cannot tell you how liberating that is. It never feels like a slog, like I'm excited.
If you had to choose between happiness or success, which one would you choose?
Happiness, hands down. I'm happy and I'm traveling.
Hello, Wayfinders, and welcome back to 101 Ways Out. I'm your host, Vanessa Juby, and today I'm sitting down with Talica Davies. Now, Talitha has led a really cool life working in the investment space as a salesperson. You'll hear her talk about always be closing in the high-paced, high-volume, crazy pressure-driven world of sales, her pivot into more of a career coaching role, and then the thing that makes her cooler than pretty much everyone, including me by a long shot, she traveled around the world for 18 months on a sailboat. That sounds pretty amazing. Now she's back at it leading her own startup, and I think you're going to really love hearing from her. And honestly, I think it's going to light a fire under your butt. It sure has under mine to go and see the world and do things a little bit differently. So check it out. I cannot wait to hear what you think. All right. I'm so excited today to be talking to Talica Davies. She and I connected on LinkedIn through a mutual friend, and I'm very thankful for the connection because Talitha has some of the best and most authentic content that I see on LinkedIn. And so I hope more and more people follow her because it's truly delightful, not only in the fact that she represents herself in such an open and honest and transparent way, but I also feel like I learn a lot in the process of following your content. So thank you for what you put out there. So Talitha is also a super cool person, which we will definitely talk about in this interview. And she's currently working as a sales consultant for solopreneurs and founders. So that's my little intro. Talitha, why don't you tell us what you're doing at this particular moment in your life journey?
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa. It's so nice to be connected. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Oh my gosh, that feels like a loaded question. What am I doing in this particular moment of my life journey? Well, um, a couple of things. I'm deeply sort of focused in building mode. I started my business about 2.5 years ago, and I think that a lot of people that have started their businesses could relate to this. Like the first couple of years is just sort of throwing spaghetti at the wall and validating your market that way. And I feel like I had good prep going into this because I worked at an incubator that helped service-based businesses scale. So I knew what to expect, but it doesn't change any of like it doesn't make anything less hard. So
Yeah. Yes.
so I'm deep in like building mode. And then I also find myself in this delightful position of being like a sandwich generation where
Mm.
I have an aging mother who's really fit and young for her age, but anything like technology related that just goes downstream to me. And so I'm trying to like help her troubleshoot from across the country. And I have a 4.5-year-old. So days are full.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It
That's a
is a lot.
lot.
It is a lot. That's what I'm currently navigating in my journey. And then 2025, I feel like I'm in good company there. Yeah,
It's an
lots of
interesting year. Oh my gosh. Right,
it's
Talitha,
been a year.
we had COVID, for a couple years, and then we're like, oh, things are getting better. Then all of a sudden it's like 2025. What? No, come on.
I
That
know.
should
I
not be
always
happening.
joke about how millennials, I'm an elder millennial, and we've just been through it. We have done so much, like Y2K and the dot-com bubble and the
Yeah.
housing crash and the financial market crash and austerity measures and COVID
Mhm.
and whatever
Yeah.
it is it's happening right now. We've been through it.
Yes. 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 Not to mention 9/11. Like that was something that because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
September now, it's September. So that
Yeah.
was something I always reflect on. I'm like, I
Totally.
remember the world before this. So it's just so crazy. But I'm sure every generation has its things. And here we are living ours very, very much so.
We
And you're also, just to be clear, because I've talked to people, around the world, but mostly Americans, you are living in Canada. So you
I
are
am.
Canadian.
I
Yes.
am. I'm Canadian. I'm on the
Yes.
West Coast in Vancouver. It's beautiful. It's just like summer. We're at our tail end of summer, and Winter here usually means it's like gray and rainy from November until April. So I'm gearing up for that.
Yeah. Oh, man. So it's the same. It's similar to like Washington and Oregon in the States then,
Totally.
I think.
Yeah.
Same climate. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think um, so Seattle and Vancouver have very similar weather patterns. One city can boast like more days of rain and the other can
Mhm.
boast like more quantity of rain. And I don't know which is
Oh,
better, but
ugh,
yeah.
neither.
No, I know.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. It's raining here today, which we need
Yeah,
desperately. So I'm trying to appreciate that, but also so glad it's not an everyday thing.
I know.
And your mom is not in the Vancouver area, right? You said she's
No.
across the country. Where is
Yeah,
she?
so I grew up in Nova Scotia on the East Coast.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And he is still there. My entire family is still there. I moved out west, like I think all college grads do. That might be Nova Scotia's biggest export. Um,
Oh, that's a
uh,
bummer.
yeah, I know. Well, they're slowly finding their way back there post COVID. It became, I think, like Canada's cheapest oceanfront real estate market. And so a ton of young families that have the option to work remote are moving back there. But yeah, my family's all back there. And I was just there a couple weeks ago visiting. Every time I go back, I'm like, that nostalgia, it kind of tricks
Mm,
you. You're like, could I live here? I have so many good memories. And
mhm.
then it's like small and rural.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could. I think I would get bored.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I I understand completely. I grew up in the countryside of San Antonio, like 30 minutes from the city, and it was nice. And it was at least there was a city close by, right? But I'd much rather be in the city or at least like super close to the city.
I have my
Hmm.
creep comforts that I
Yeah.
want, like
Yeah.
I want what I want when I want it, and I don't wanna have
Yes.
to wait or
Ah,
go to the city
yeah.
for it.
Right. 100%. Like we have a coffee shop we could just walk to. That's so nice.
Yeah,
Things like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
have
So
the
this is a good segue.
Yeah.
What was your upbringing like?
Yeah, so, um, what was my my I think I f my upbringing felt really eclectic. My dad was a professor, and my mom is a stay-at-home mom, and they were both immigrants to Nova Scotia. And so immediately I just knew like I felt different. Like I always felt different because we were growing up in rural Nova Scotia. My parents had accents. My mom was black. Like we just were not like the other kids. Um, so yeah, I there was a big focus. I would say that like the themes of my upbringing would be education. There was a big focus on academia. My dad was a professor. His dad was a professor. My mom was doing her master's in counseling. So, like, that was always a big theme, like education, achievement, and then travel. He took sabbaticals every 6 years. And so we would go and live
Oh,
in
wow.
different places. And so we spent some time in Australia and a lot of time in Fiji, which is where my mom is from. And so, yeah, I have fond memories of my childhood, and I don't think anyone comes out of childhood being like, "Yeah, that was totally functional."
Right,
There's
right, right.
basic function. Um, but yeah, the big themes were always education and achievement and, like, productivity. That was always really
Ah.
important. Like, you have to be doing something at all
Oh,
times.
yeah.
Um, and I didn't cop that until later in life. I was working with a burnout coach earlier this year, and that was one of the things he pointed out. He was like, "You don't know how to relax. Even when you think you're relaxing, you're, like, folding." I'm like, "Well, yeah."
You're like, "Ah, but I'm not working, so it's
Yes,
different."
exactly. Yeah, I'm sitting when I fold the
Yeah.
laundry.
I feel like I live with a built-in burnout coach because my husband is, like, the most relaxed human being in the world, and that has been a lifelong like, we've known each other for 20 years, so it's been this, like, gradual which I'm still working on, but I'm much better now, path to actually relaxing and not feeling, like, guilty if I watch a show on TV with
Totally.
them, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice. Balance is important.
Yes. Um, so your mom is from Fiji, where is your dad from?
He's from Wales.
Oh, okay, alright.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
know, totally random, and then they ended up in Nova Scotia of all
Oh,
places.
yeah. Was it
Mhm.
for, like, for his job? His teaching job?
Yeah, so he went in the '70s, he went to Fiji. There was this program, it was called, Volunteer Service Organization. It's similar to Peace Corps, and so he went, as a volunteer to work on, like, some economic development plans, and then he, was an avid rugby player,
Mm.
played on a team with my mom's brother, and my mom's brother was like, "Oh, you should come over
Wow.
for dinner," so he did, and he met my mom, and then they fell in love.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my
I
gosh.
know,
And she said,
really.
Sure, I'll go with you to Canada."
She did
Halfway around the world?
never left Fiji before at that time. Her whole family, she comes from so in Fiji, they are similar to, our First Nations here in Canada, so they're like a chiefly
Oh, yeah.
system, and so her family was like a fairly big chiefly family, and they had plans for her, like, I don't wanna say arranged marriage, but,
Mm.
like, there were expectations of what a woman, from her family were supposed to do and who they were supposed to marry, and so I think when they saw my dad, they were like, "Oh, this is it. This is over.
Ugh.
She's leaving." Um and I was thinking about this the other day. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, my life was hard. My life was hard. If I want to throw myself a little mini pity party. But then I think back to my parents who like had an interracial marriage at a time when they weren't really doing that. And they had to advocate for their love to both of their families who were like very skeptical at the time. So yeah, they met in Fiji. They moved back to the UK, so my dad could get his PhD. And then yeah, he got a job at Acadia University in Wolfville in Nova Scotia, and that's how they
Ah,
ended up there.
wow, that's amazing. So,
Yeah.
side note, unrelated, I am planning on going to Acadia National Park in Maine in just like a week or
Oh,
two. So that's cool. It's
crazy.
so close to
Yeah.
where they must be.
Totally.
So what was your so education hugely important to your family as you're growing up? Can you talk a little bit about your school experience and then also anything that like stood out to you as far
Mhm.
as being something that shaped you as a kid?
Yeah. Um, I spoke about it earlier, but I think one of the like early formative experiences was feeling like I never belonged. It's so interesting. Like I would call it was rural Nova Scotia, not a lot of diversity, and there was like racism light. So it was
Oh,
like it was nothing, you know, violent or anything like that. Um, but there would be these comments. Like I would always have people like little kids would be like, "Oh, I wouldn't get invited to something."
mhm.
And the response would be, "Well, no one likes you because your mom is black and your dad is white." And I'm like, little kid, totally ill-equipped to know how to
Yeah.
respond to that. And so that was just like, you know, that was what it was. And I think my parents did the best to support me through that as they could. But what was really fascinating is whenever we go back to Fiji, um, I also experienced, like, exclusion there because I wasn't black enough. They were like, "Oh, you can't talk like us. You don't know" like, I didn't speak the language. I did not look like them. Um, and so that feeling of, like, never belonging anywhere, I think was really formative because,
Yeah.
now community is so important to me, and now everything that I do and every interaction that I have with people is really intentional and about the sense of belonging, like, it's important to me for people to feel safe and like they belong, and I also think that that probably inspired my decision to just do something for myself, to create a space for myself where I knew I belonged, and then also to be a bit of a hard ass, like, I and part of that is perimenopause, but I just don't care what other people think of me anymore, and it's so liberating, and I know a big part of that was because I cared so deeply when I was little.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I love everything you said. I find it so inspiring to hear you talk about being excluded as a kid and not feeling like you belonged. And now your focus is on the community and belonging and making people feel that. I am honestly really inspired by that because I
Mm,
feel like That's something I worry about a lot. Like, as a kid, I didn't ever feel like I totally fit into something. I mean, I did have a small group of friends, especially, like, as I got older, and so they were wonderful and great, but I just always had this feeling, especially in corporate. I'm a first gen college grad. My parents were blue
Mm.
collar, and so then, like, kinda climbing through the ranks, like, nobody else was like that. Everybody else, for the most part, that where I worked, they came from families that had a good structural support system in place. And so I kind of always had that, like, chip on my shoulder of, like, "Oh god, they're gonna find me out, like, I don't belong here," and all that
Yeah.
stuff, you know? So it's
Mhm.
inspiring to hear you talk about, like, what you experienced, which sounds really difficult, and how you've transformed that into something that is really beautiful and inclusive, and finding out, like,
Mhm.
being true to yourself. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Well, it was isolating, and I didn't have the words or the language to communicate it at the time. Um, but it was an isolating experience, and I think, like, that's something we can all kind of relate to now. I feel like we're in this age where we're more connected, but also simultaneously isolated at the same time.
Yes.
And so, yeah, like, I think connection is so important to me, and it's sort of at the heart of everything that I do, like, how I approach sales, how I approach, like, having conversations with people, like, it's just if I can't connect with them,
Yeah.
there's nowhere to go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, well said.
Mm.
Um, you mentioned the education. I'm just going back to the education piece again, but I'm curious, thinking through when you were a kid, what kind of expectations do you feel your parents had for you?
Oof, high. It was
Yeah.
pressure. Pressure city central. I'm lucky. I was the, middle child, and my sister for sure got the brunt of those expectations. But there was always like, I can vividly remember coming home. Oh my god. Uh, Even when I was little, so my parents, before it was time to learn our times tables, back when kids learned times tables, I don't know if we do that
Yeah.
anymore, but
Oh, yes, we do.
okay, good. When we were being like when it was just, like, being memorized, um,
Yes.
I like, my parents were like, "Yeah, you actually can't go out and play today. We've gotta do your 3 times tables," and I'm like, "This sucks."
Oh,
But so, yeah, there was a lot of they definitely supplemented my education. I went to a public school, and they supplemented it hard at home by, like, making me do my times tables and memorizing those before I could go out and play. And sometimes I would bring home test scores. And to me, at the time, anything above 80, I was good. I'm like,
yeah.
That's good." And I would, like, give the test to my dad, and he's like, "Great. What was the average?" And I'm like, "Who cares?" And I don't know. Why don't you go
Yeah.
ask the teacher? Um, 'Cause there was always this, like, push for achievement and performance academically. Um, and like I said, I think I was a little bit more sheltered from it than my sister. Um, and, it sucked a little bit at the time, but everything in hindsight feels okay, or a lot in hindsight feels okay. So, I'm glad they did. I think we do have to supplement public education here, at least in Canada. I don't know what it's like in the US, but, um, I'll probably have to do that with my kid as well.
You.
Uh, but yeah, big focus on that. And then I I probably should have taken a gap year in between high school and university, or at least somewhere in there, like maybe just taken half a year off or something. I wasn't I wasn't, like, emotionally ready to just really commit to my studies, and I
Yeah.
probably should have done that. That was not an option. There was, like, no way my parents were gonna let me do that.
Yeah. So you went directly into college then. It was
I went straight
and
to
was
university,
yeah.
um, and then I did actually ask them after my 4th year, because I was short a few credits to graduate, and I'm like, "I'd like to go and travel Europe with my girlfriends, and then I'll come back and finish." And my dad was like, "No, absolutely not. You're gonna finish this, and then you're gonna go work." And I'm like, "Wow, all right, well."
Yeah.
And, I just didn't really feel like I had the agency to say no.
Yeah.
I very much, like, listened to what my parents told me to do. So, yeah, straight from, um high school, university, and then straight into a job.
Wow. So
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds like it would be tough. No wonder you have decided to take a different path as things have
Yeah,
gone. Yeah.
exactly.
As you've become yourself, as you've grown up. Um, so can you share a little bit about your corporate career and when you got to that point where you're like, I think it's time to take a break. I think it's time to do something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. So, um, after I graduated, I studied economics. I really wanted to do like international development. That was kind of what my heart was telling me I wanted to do. Um, but I also distinctly remember being in those like 4,000 level courses and just thinking through, I was like, um, where's the money to be made here? Like
Mm.
what is that? I wasn't clear on what that path looked like. What was more clear was finance. I was like, oh, okay, I could go get a job at a bank. It was also what my aunt did. She was like an institutional broker in London. And so I had exposure to that. And because my dad was such like a powerful influence in my life at the time, I think that a lot of what I was doing was to try to make him proud and, like,
Yeah.
just sort of live up to his expectations of me. So, I went into finance. I started, um, as a bank teller and then moved into the investment firm and then took all my courses that I needed for, like, licensing and became an investment advisor. And the way that path looks like here is that all of the rookie advisors are their task is not necessarily to provide advice, it's to bring in business. So there's a huge sales and business development focus. And so I like cold called and did all sorts of like mostly it was cold calling, it was painful for years. Um, and then just started to slowly like work my way up within the firm and joined a couple of really big teams. And then I got to lead their business development and sales efforts. Um, and so that was kind of like the yeah, that's how I ended up in finance. And then as all of this was going
Well,
on, there was an element of me where I'm like, I actually hate what I'm doing. I don't like the people, like I didn't love the people that I worked with. All of the connotations of like your finance bro are true. And I was one because you had to, you know, you just that's what I was surrounded by and that's what I thought success looks like. So I didn't love what I was doing. And then at the same time, my dad was sick and he was dying. He did
ugh,
pass away. And that was kind of a really big wake up call for me because I'm like, I don't like this guy that I'm dating. I don't like my job. And so against the best, like against the advice of my counselor at the time. She was like, I don't think you should make any big decisions. You're going through grief. I was like, I'm going to break up with my boyfriend and I'm going to quit my job. So that was kind of like the thing, the catalyst, I guess,
yeah.
for leaving corporate.
Ooh,
Um,
let me ask you a quick question.
yeah,
Did you make these decisions before or after your dad passed away?
after.
Ah, it's so interesting. It's
Yeah.
really interesting because of what you've shared about his expectations and how you're trying to follow, the path that he would be proud of. And then, this tragedy and you lose him and it's like almost like a rethinking, reevaluating where you're
Yeah,
at.
almost like a rebirth. It's interesting. I had this
Yeah.
same conversation with my sister. So we around the same time, like right after he died, she had a business in corporate communications. She was a ghostwriter. Um, and after he died, she like just stopped doing that. She's like, I don't like this. Again, same thing. She thought
Yeah.
journalism is prestigious and he would approve of this. And then she started a coaching business right
Oh,
after
wow.
he died. So we both kind of, um, yeah, we both sort of, it was almost like our permission slip to go and do
Yeah.
something we really wanted. And yeah, I would be curious to know what he thinks of that now. I mean, I know he would be proud of us, but um, and it's not like these conversations ever were had explicitly. It was just what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. It's so interesting to think about the effect that our environment and our parents have on us that's often unspoken, like you've said. What was that decision-making process like for you when you were like, and it's twofold, right? You're like, I'm leaving this relationship and I'm leaving this job.
Yeah.
Was it like something you thought, did you think long and hard about it or how did that go?
So the relationship was easy. I was just like, "We're done." Um, and, uh, the work thing, not less so, because that was my security. Like, I did not need him for anything, but I needed my job for security. And so, because my sister had launched her business, we were having a conversation and she was always like she would always talk to me about sales and ask me, for advice and, whatever. Uh, and I told her I was really unhappy and planning on leaving the bank, and she's like, "Why don't you come and help me with sales?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And so that was kind of I needed something. I needed a stepping stone, and that was
Mhm.
the perfect stepping stone at the right time. It felt safe. A lot of what I do is in pursuit of in pursuit of
Yeah.
safety. And so that felt safe. I was really aligned with the work that she was doing. Um, and so, yeah, that's just kind of like that was the nail in the coffin, if you will. It was like, okay, I know what I can
Yeah.
do, and I feel like I have a launch pad.
That's fantastic.
Mm.
Um, so was there, did you, as you were talking to your sister and kind of making this decision to leave, did you do anything to prepare for it? Or did you just kind of make that step into supporting her with your sales expertise? What was that like?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I did to prepare was take a look at my finances. I was like, can I
Hmm.
afford to do this? Vancouver's a really expensive city. And
Yeah.
I, like people make a lot of money in finance. That's why so many of them are miserable and they stay there forever because it's hard to say no to the paycheck. And so, yeah, I just kind of like I took a look at my finances and was like, "How much runway do I have? Can I make this work?" That was the biggest thing. Everything else, I'm a planner, but I'm also like, when there's a big decision, my go-to is my default setting is to just go and do it and figure it out. I start to get really overwhelmed if I think too much about it. I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna talk myself out of it if I if I think too much about
Yes.
it. I just
Yes.
feel like I have a good relationship with my instinct, and it was telling me to jump, and so I did. Like, I had faith that I would figure it out, and I had faith in my sister that, like, there would be something meaningful for me to jump into.
Yeah. So how long ago was this that you did this?
2016.
Okay. All right. So it's been 9 years. That's a long
Yeah,
time.
it is.
That's a long time.
No, oh my god.
Okay.
Where did those 9 years go, first of all?
Well, you have a 4.5-year-old, so that explains part of it.
Yeah.
You spent a couple years sailing around the world.
Exactly. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, we've added up some of it, so we still have a couple gaps. But
Yeah.
so then what happened? Like, what? Tell me what you've been up to since.
Yeah, so that was 2016. I went into her business and started leading sales for her, and that was just so much fun. And honestly, I think the best part about it, so like it was really fun to work with her, and I have so much respect for her and what she does, and it really brought us closer. Um, and it also taught me a lot. Like at that point, I had closed like $750 million in sales. I thought I knew everything. I'm like, I'm good, but then I started selling coaching, and that was completely different, and I had to sort of unlearn everything that I had. I had a very traditional sales training, from the bank, which was you cold call, you overcome objections, you, always be closing, just a very it's an aggressive form of sales that was sort of taught, and so that's what I did because
Yeah.
it's what I was showed to do, and you cannot do that if you're selling coaching. There's no space for that. It's just a completely different approach, um, and so that first year was really humbling for me because I'm like, I suck at this. Like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. How is that possible? So it was like, yeah, it was really humbling to have to unlearn what I had learned. Um, And it was also it just felt so nice to work at a company where, I could make those kinds of mistakes and it was still okay. It's not like my job was on the line, like, finance felt very cutthroat, and there were so many occasions where I was told, like, "You're either costing us money or you're making us money, and it better
Mm,
be the latter." Um, and yeah, that pressure didn't exist in her business. I felt there was, like I felt spacious for the first time in a long time, um, which was a huge sort of catalyst for me to bring creativity in how I approached sales. I was never able to do that. I always loved it and I was drawn to it. Like, I'm like, sales is like a puzzle. You're figuring people out. But I didn't have the space to do that when I was in finance. And so the first couple of years with her really gave me that opportunity to like sit back and be like, what am I doing when I sell?
yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? And how do I want people to feel when they're being sold to by me? Um, and so, yeah, it was really great. And then after about a year and a half of working with her, my husband and I decided to take a sabbatical. So, um, yeah, we left for 2 years to go sailing, which was also kinda scary, but, yeah, it just kinda happened.
Okay, let me ask you, this is so interesting. Let me ask you a couple follow-up questions because I do wanna get into, like, that journey that you had as well.
Mhm,
Um, as you are working with your sister's business
mhm.
and you're kind of going through the process of learning to sell something very different, it sounds like there was, like it sounds like you said it was humbling because 'cause you're realizing that the way that you were taught was quite different from what you had to do in this space,
Yeah.
and you're kind of thinking about, like, what is the experience that you wanna deliver to these people? Is there anything that you would say that you took away from that as something that stayed with you and that you really, like, appreciated from that time?
Yeah, I think the thing that really stuck out for me, well, there was 2. The first was up until that point, anytime I thought of sales, it was always, um closing. Like, the ABCs of sales are always be closing, and that's I don't know what the movie it was that had that line, but burned in my memory. Um, and my that during that first year, I was like, the ABCs of closing are always be curious. Like, I've never won or saved or lost or walked away from a deal where curiosity wasn't front and center. Um and so that was the biggest thing that shifted for me. I'm like, I can't even the word closing, like, it feels closed up. When you go into a conversation and your one goal is to close, whatever, it doesn't even have to be a sales conversation. It could be any kind of conversation, and your goal is to walk away with this preconceived notion that you went into the conversation with, you're closed off. You're closed off. And so it's it's that curiosity piece that has stuck with me. And that's a really big foundation of the way that I approach sales.
So you're married at this point. You mentioned you and your husband decided you wanted to go and take some time off.
Yes.
Why did you decide that?
So the timing was right. He was, working for this company that was relocating from Vancouver to Miami, and they wanted us to move, and there was no way I was doing that. I'm like, at the time, that was Trump Trump's first, like, fun time in office, and I'm like, "I cannot do this. I'm not gonna live there." And so they packaged him out, and it felt like a really natural time for us to take a break. We had we met sailing, we did a lot of local sailing, and at that point had been like, "I think it would be fun if we did this somewhere exotic." And so his company giving him a package was sort of, perfect timing, if you will, and so we're like, "Okay, let's do it." And I had been talking to my sister about how we were wanting to do something like that even when I was at the bank, because we had been thinking about it for years, and she was like, "You should. You should do it before you had kids." She, at the time, had, like, a two-year-old and a five-year-old. She was in it,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Go. Go before you have kids."
Be free.
Yep,
Yes.
go be free. Um, Yeah, so that's what prompted the trip. I don't think we expected it to be so long. Like, at first, we were like, "We'll just go for a year," but the world is a big place. There's a lot to see, and we were
Yeah.
having a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So how long were you guys gone? Or
18 years.
18 months. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
yeah.
That's so incredible.
It was pretty
Um,
epic. We got married
I
and we weren't married at the time, but we got married on the trip
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Where'd you guys get married?
in Fiji.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
great. Okay,
Yeah.
so you did you sail from Vancouver? Like, did you sail from Canada? Okay. Okay, what is that's so neat. I just think this is okay, for those of you listening, you're probably seeing me reacting like a giddy schoolgirl, but this is, like, the first person I've met that's done this, like, it's really interesting to me. I've never sailed in my life except for, like, some team building events at work, so that doesn't
Okay.
count. So you're, like, on this boat in the middle of this vast, vast ocean going from port to port and experiencing life. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
It was, and it was, um, at the time, like, now that I that I look back, I'm surprised that he even wanted to go with me. Like, I knew how to sail. I didn't know anything else. Like, I didn't even know how to navigate or operate the GPS. And he's like, "What better way to learn?" And I'm like, "Okay." Um, and neither of us, we did a lot of racing. And so there's overnight races that happen here where you're sailing for like, I don't know, 24, 28 hours straight. And so we had done a bunch of those, but you're on a boat with a crew. You're never far from shore, so it's really not the same thing. And so we left here. We did a lot of prep. Obviously, like, we looked into what we needed to do and what we needed what we needed to, like, kit the boat out with. Um, but it's just kind of one of those things where you're never you'll never fully be ready, and you just have to do it and trust that it'll work out. And so that was a big part of it. All we had mapped out was the vague idea of where we wanted to go. So we would bump down the coast until Mexico, and Mexico is a common jumping off point to get into French Polynesia, which is sort of like your first stop if you're island hopping in the South Pacific. So we had that part mapped out when we left, but everyone was scared. Everyone was scared for us. My family was like, "What are you doing?" Um, uh, but yeah, it took a lot of work not to let other people's fears kind of um, infiltrate us, and so yeah, it was great.
That's really neat. Any highlights? Like, anything that's just stood out for you as, like, this is a highlight of your experience?
Yeah, so I totally thought that it was just gonna be me and him. I was not
Yeah.
expecting how social it was going to be, so it was always just me and him on our boat. Um, but because of the trade winds and the nature of sailing is that it's seasonality, and so everyone follows the trade winds, and everyone sort of departs during similar windows. You're avoiding hurricane season everywhere you go. That's just kind of the name of the
Mm,
game.
that makes
And
sense.
so yeah, yeah. And so, uh, it was really incredible. It was just very social. We joined this rally of 200 boats that were leaving from San Diego to go to Cabo San Lucas. And so that whole thing took about a week, and there was 200 boats in our fleet, and there was a couple of stops in the Baja that we made, and that was really incredible, and that sort of kicked off the 2-year trip, because I was like, "Okay, this is what it's like." So, really social, lots of other boats. The vast majority of them were, like, older retired couples, but we had, like there was maybe 12 boats of young couples like us, and we all kind of immediately connected and spent, like, all of our time together for those 2 years. Like, we just were like, "Where are you going next?" And we would kinda coordinate with them. So that was really unexpected and really nice. Like, those are some of our, like, closest friends to this day. Um, and then yeah, like, we had some close calls that were really scary. Um, never was I like, "I'm gonna die," uh, but I was like, "I would love to be rescued by the Navy right about now." Like, I want off of this boat, and I don't know how we're gonna get back to shore. So those are the things that stuck out, the amazing part and then the really shitty part of
Yeah.
being scared.
Yeah. Those things seem to go hand in hand.
Yeah,
And it's like the scary stuff makes you appreciate everything so much more once you're past it.
totally. It's also funny, like, now that I have my kid, I don't really think we were it's not like we were taking crazy risks, but my relationship to risk has totally changed now that I have a kid, and,
Yes.
some of yeah, like, some of the storms that we were sailing in and, like, those kinds of things, I would not be comfortable putting my son in that situation, so, it's probably a good thing that we went before we had him.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying. I used to it's slowly changing as my son's getting older, but I used to love horror movies and I loved like hiking and climbing and I don't get scared of heights. I don't get scared of scary height like, straight down vertical drops when you're hiking somewhere, whatever. But having a child, I'm so much less interested in that because I don't do it by myself. He'll go with me. I'm like, no, no,
Well,
no, no, no. Don't get anywhere near the edge. We're not going to do those hikes until you're older,
yeah,
and hopefully maybe never. You know what I mean? And then like scary stuff is not as much fun anymore because I don't want him to be scared. So I'm
no,
like, come on, man.
I know. Yeah, I'm a sucker for scary movies, and I actually really like the feeling of being scared in a controlled environment. Like, I don't wanna be scared out in the wild, but if I on my couch where I know, like, in 2 hours this is gonna be over, I like that feeling.
Totally.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, were you scared at all, as you decided to like, first you left the banking environment, then you left your sister's company to go and do this adventure. Were you ever scared along the way of like, "Oh my gosh, what about my livelihood? What about like, what happens next?" and all of that?
Yeah, I don't know if scared is the right word, but I completely blocked it out for the first year. I can compartmentalize so hard. And so I'm just like, I'm not going to think about that. I've saved up money. I'm just going to live my life. And then after that first year, I was like, okay, um, both of us started to get this pull to want to go back to normal life.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what am I going to do? I felt unemployable at that stage because I'm like, I've been out of the game. So at that point in finance, I believe you have 6 months before your license just like is gone. You use it or you lose it. And so I knew that I had lost my license and I'm like, okay, well I can't do that anymore. I mean I could, but I don't really feel like going and being a rookie again. Um I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like maybe
Yeah.
business. Um I had no idea and I guess like I thought about it a lot. I started to get anxious, I suppose. Um but I wasn't scared. I knew that I would land on my feet and do something. The biggest part to me, and I guess where the fear did creep in, was I didn't wanna go back to a situation that I found myself in at the bank, where you take a job because you just need a job, and then
Mhm.
you get stuck in that job, and you're like, "I hate what I'm doing." Um, I just couldn't go back to that, and that is what scared me. I was like,
Yeah.
just don't wanna get to the point where I take something because I'm grateful to have a role, and then I
Yeah.
end up like, years go by, and then I end up hating it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you navigate that since you when you returned?
So I had another soft landing because I just reached out to my sister and I'm like, do you still need sales support?
Yeah.
Um, and so luckily I had a job to come back to.
That's great.
Um, yeah, like it was never a spoken situation before I left. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of how I navigated that. I'm like, hello,
Yeah.
your younger sister calling again. And my husband is in tech, and at that time, it was just really easy to find a job in tech. Um, yeah, and so I stayed there for, that was 2019, and then I guess almost 4 years, and then I started my own business in 2023.
Wow. So What made you decide to start your own business?
I think a lot of it was flexibility. Um, I I did have a flexible job with her, but her kids were older, so she was totally out of that, like, stage, the young new mom stage. Nobody else on the team had kids, and I felt so insanely guilty every time I couldn't do something. No one else was putting that pressure on me, but it exists, like, you don't even have to work very hard to put that pressure on yourself. I think, like, if you care about your job and given the way that we sort of support moms or all of that, it's so easy to feel worried and scared that you're not contributing the way everybody else can. And so that was starting to eat at me because I'm like, I constantly feel behind. Um, I'm not engaged with the team the way that I used to. I'm not engaged with the clients the way that I used to. And so it was that like I don't feel like I belong here.
Yeah.
Um and so that was happening. Um and I was also getting this switch to do my own thing. Like autonomy is probably one of my like freedom and autonomy, like that's one of my big values. And her coaching incubator focused on helping women service-based businesses scale past 1 million in annual revenues. And so I was constantly surrounded by like incredible women with incredible businesses doing really hard things.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want that. Like all of these women are so cool. And people that just have capacity and you're like, they don't sweat the small stuff. Like they're just so unflappable. That's what these women were like, and I'm like, "I want that." Like, I think I can do that. Not saying I'm unflappable, but that's what really drew me, and so, yeah, I made the hard decision to just be like, "You have given me so much, and I'm so appreciative. I've learned so much here, and I feel like I wanna spread my wings and try this out on my own."
Oh, that's so fantastic. So how
Yeah.
is that? How's your journey going?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Someone asked me that the other day. This really depends on the day, by the
Yeah.
way. It's such a roller coaster. Um, I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I'm at a place right now where, I've kind of made peace with the fact that, uh, balance is a lie that they sell us, and that because I'm in this, deep sort of building mode, um that's just what my life is right now. It's like I have to focus on my kid and my family, and when I'm not doing that, I'm really focused on what I want to be building, and so I'm enjoying it because, there's a lot of creative license that I don't feel like I had before. Um, and then the other aspect is I've leaned really hard into, um, like, an unfiltered presence online. I think, to me, that's really important. It's what I resonate with. And when I was in corporate, um, I was very buttoned up. It was a, regulated industry. There was so little that I could say. I couldn't have my own opinion at all. Talk about the markets, and that's about it. Um, and then when I worked in her business, I'm an ambassador of the brand and it's her business. I didn't want to say something, even if I really felt it, that would reflect poorly on that. And now it's just me, like the bucky ends with me. I can say whatever I want. And I cannot tell you how liberating that is. Um, and I'm really, so yeah, the first couple of years have been, like I said, like throwing spaghetti at the wall,
Yeah.
um, really sort of validating the offer, validating my market, all of that stuff. And I'm still kind of in that phase, but I'm really excited again. Like it always feels like a lot of work, but it never feels like a slog. Like I'm excited
Yeah.
to do the stuff.
That's such a great change to have when you know that
Yeah.
it can feel different from what you're feeling now. Um,
Mhm.
how has your income changed since you were working for someone else versus working for yourself?
Yeah. So my income fell dramatically from finance, and I knew that was going to happen. Um, And the part that was hardest was when I first met my husband, I was making more than him. And that was just a really big part of my identity. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I think that goes hand in hand with working in finance. And so it was really weird when that shifted and when he started to make more than me. And I'm like, I don't like this dynamic. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. It needs to be examined. I need to sit with it for a while. So the income changed dramatically from finance to working with my sister. But any sales role, there's unlimited upside. And so
Yeah.
um, it didn't stay like that forever. And then when I started my own business, it fell to zero. I was like, God, what is with this woman who wants to continue to reinvent herself all the time? And, like, the part where it gets hard is when I'm looking at some of my friends who have had the same job since university, and I'm just like, they've just been building that whole time in that lane, and it's hard not to wanna compare myself to them. Um, but, yeah, the first year that I started my business, I replaced my salary that I had with her, um, and that's all that I was looking for. Is like,
Yeah.
I just need to be able to replace what I, grew accustomed to at that time. Um, and now I'm almost back to where I was in finance. Not quite, maybe like another I would say like another year of building, and then I could
Yeah.
be where I was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's thank you for sharing that. And I really appreciate you sharing your journey and kind of the ups and downs and the comparison. She said is so, so hard. I think most people struggle with that. I know
Yeah.
I do. When you're looking at somebody, you're like, oh, they did that. Oh gosh, I should be able to do that or whatever. And I completely relate to the feeling of, I mean, we define so much of ourselves by our jobs, but also our earnings. And I had the same experience as you. I was, for most of my relationship with my husband, I was the breadwinner of our family, and I had these really sexy job titles and high salaries. And then um, I decided to focus on my startup full time. And suddenly I'm not the one making the money, and it was so hard. It was so hard because I'm like, no, like this is who I am. I am the one that makes the money and I'm the one that contributes to the family. And now I just felt like a taker and not a giver, you
Mhm,
know?
mhm.
And it's so, but I think that's like such an interesting, and especially, I mean, it's different for you though, because I think your family also very much instilled in you like a different kind of perspective on productivity, right? And what you needed to achieve and all of those things. Um, I think at large, our society values that aspect of us and not the whole human being aspect of us, you know?
Totally. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
also think what's challenging is, um women in particular are valued for their labor and not
Mhm.
necessarily like what's between their ears. And so
Right.
um, that was like, even I see this come up in my own business as well. I'm like, when it comes to pricing, when it comes to all of that, I'm like, can I charge this? It didn't actually
Yeah.
take me, 3 weeks to do it. I can do this in 3 hours, but it's a big piece of work. And so it's really kind of wrapping our heads around being valued for our expertise and our IP and, that versus time spent doing. And so I
Yeah.
think, like, I'm battling that on 2 fronts, like, the childhood lesson of, like, always be productive and what are you contributing? And then also society, valuing women for labor and having a hard time to, like, divorce our worth from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So well said. It's an interesting thing too, and I don't know the Canadian culture nearly as well as I know the U.S. culture. And again, in the United States, it's very different, but depending on if you're in the middle of the country or if you're on one of the
Right.
coasts, the treatment and I feel as though the journey for me has been really eye-opening in terms of I'm a child of the '80s. I thought that, the previous generation had done all of the great work to get to equality for women. And then I joined the workforce and it was like several slaps in the face over and over again. I'm like, we're not, that's not reality, Vanessa. Like we're not really there. And that's been a struggle. It's been a
Yeah.
struggle to kind of see that to your point about like, what's between your ears and how
Mhm.
valued that is depending on who you are And so even for myself, there are many times where I am very assertive in certain scenarios where I think it makes sense. But there are people I work with in other countries where there are many times I'll be like, I'll tell my husband, I need you to come and say this to this person because I
Mm,
feel like they will hear it differently if it's you than if it's me, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's
I know.
tiring.
What's really fascinating, and this used to piss me off so much when we started sailing, um, they always just assumed I didn't know how to sail, and that was the one thing I did know how to do. I was like, "I don't know how to do any maintenance or fix the boat or navigate by the stars, but I know how to sail this boat." And, yeah, there was always these, like, conversations about how it was, like, my husband who was sailing, and I was just along for the ride, and I'm like, "Okay." And,
Oh,
they
no.
were always a different generation that was saying that
Yes.
for any of the young couples, and the young w like, the other women had that exact same experience too. Um, Sometimes it's such a trip to go to another culture where things are dramatically different. I was in Turkey a couple months ago, we were sailing, we had an incident with the Turkish Coast Guard, which sounds a lot more dramatic than it was, but there's a language barrier. They came up to our boat. They needed to, like, raft up, and there was no like, the men were occupied, so it's the women who were sealing the boat, and they wouldn't throw us the lines to tie up. They were, like, waiting for the men to come around
Oh
to
my
tie.
God.
And I'm like, "You're gonna be waiting for weeks." One of them, like, one of the kids was sick, and so one of the dads is a paramedic and looking after him, and my
Oh,
husband was at the helm, and I'm just like, "Yeah, they would not give us the lines." And I'm like, "This is." It was such a weird experience to, yeah, to just kind of be treated completely different.
yes. Oh my
Second
gosh. Like,
biggest.
yeah, that would be very odd. Oh my God. Talk about throwing it in your face
I
or
know.
not.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Ah. Do you do you have an ultimate plan or vision for what you want your life to look like?
I love that question. Yes and no. Um, I I think I have an ultimate direction of what I like, where I wanna go, but I'm not sure I have the vision mapped out fully. So, I know that I wanna take another break, um, and I wanna leave and do something similar to what we did, before having Jameson. Um I'm very nervous about that though. Like at this
Yeah.
stage of our life, because I have been hustling really hard to build a business. It is scary to take a step away from it. Um, and I'm constantly reminded that there's a bigger picture and what does any of this matter? And like I just, I want to be making memories and having fun with my family while we can.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what I would love, like let's say it's 10 years from now, um, I have like from a work or a contribution perspective, um, I will have like dramatically shifted how people sell to one another. I feel like there's so much crap and baggage that we have when it comes to sales and a lot of like crummy tactics and all the rest of it, like poor mindset, blah blah. So through the work that I'm doing with my consulting business, I will have dramatically shifted that. That's like one of my goals or visions. Um, and then from a personal perspective, I'm happy and I'm traveling. That's it.
I
That's what I.
love that.
Yeah.
That's our great goals.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what I can do.
The traveling piece is really important for me as well. I love
Wow.
that that's part of your view of where you want things
Mhm.
to go.
Yeah.
On the sabbatical side or taking the time off, do you have is it something you're thinking you'd do sometime soon, or are you waiting for your child to be a certain age, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Right now, he's just a little too high maintenance to take on the boat.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
I don't trust him. Um, I don't trust him yet for that kind of thing. And so I feel like while we did have friends that were sailing with a 4 and a 6-year-old, um, I don't feel equipped to do that. Um, and so we've talked about it. And I think it would be in the next 2 to 3 years. Um, but I also think it will look a little different.
In
I would be okay with not crossing an ocean and just like going somewhere, like going to the Med and sailing around the Med for like, I don't know,
Mhm.
4 months. Um, so I don't think I would be up for such a huge sabbatical again, because it's daunting to think it's always daunting to leave and then have to feel like you're gonna reinvent yourself. Um, so yeah, I don't know. There's no tidy answer for that one.
Yeah. No, that's good that you're figuring it out. So
Yeah.
maybe in a year from now, when we talk again, you will have a whole new
Yes.
story to tell about what you've done or what you've decided to do. So
Yeah.
cool.
Maybe the vision will be a little more solidified then.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's working itself out along the
Yeah.
way, you know? When my husband and I turned 40, which has been 5 years now, we did this whole life plan of what we wanted. Like we looked back 10 years and highlighted all the things that we really loved about those last 10 years and the things that we didn't like and wanted to avoid. And then we
I love
extrapolated
that.
that. It was so great. Like it was really great because it helped us get really clear on what we felt was important. And then it allowed us to have those conversations with one another too about what I saw versus what he saw and where things gelled. And so we've kind of gone back to it every few years to see and check in, like, are we still on the right path? And for some reason, like, I did not remember that that was an activity that we had done at some point in the past. And
Mm.
as we were cleaning out our basement just recently, we found these like really messy sheets of paper. We each had our own sheet of paper when we were 25-ish years old. And then we
Wow.
had written down like what we wanted. And I swear, like looking at the paper now, I'm like, oh my God, we've checked off all the boxes of what we said we wanted, you know? It's
That's so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
I I actually so I love that because my husband started this conversation when we were driving home from Portland a couple weekends ago. He's like, "What do we want the next 5 years to look like?" And, um, he's we're both somewhat go with the flow. Um,
That's great.
but I I was like, I think what you guys did is such a testament to the power of, like, having an idea, having a goal, writing it down, making it feel a little more real.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I could do a better job of that.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Yeah,
try it out. See what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. I'm like,
It's already
"Babe,
there.
doing this weekend. Cancel everything. We're planning the next 10 years."
Yes, yes. It's funny too, because even as like the teen year as we all know, there are things we can't control in life, like what's happening in the United States right now.
Yeah.
And so we flex, you know? But it's very cool to say, like, what we want and what we thought we wanted, is very much in alignment with where things are going, and the things that we can't control, it's okay because we know we're on the same page about the most important things that matter, which I'm sure you guys are too, given your
Yes.
lifestyle, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Was there anything that was just so surprising to you where you're like, "Wow, 25-year-old me wanted this?"
Oh gosh. I guess the thing that gets me, I don't know if this is true for you too, but how even though like we're continuing to grow and evolve and change as people, there's still so much of us that was the same when we were little kids, you know? Like, all I wanted was I wanted to travel, I wanted to have fun, I wanted a loving romantic relationship, you know, and I had only known my husband at the time, like, had been dating for, like, a year, and
Yeah.
so to see, like, oh, actually, we did end up together, and 20 years later, here we are, and things are working so and we have a kid, which,
Yeah.
was not something I ever thought I wanted at that point in my life, but now it's, like, part of the best thing in my life, so yeah.
Well,
I
that's
think it's just been really nice to see. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for asking.
yeah, of course. I love that.
So this is a question that is a little silly, but
Mm.
please, please bear with me. If you had to choose between happiness or success, which one would you
Mm.
choose? And has your answer changed over time?
Oh, happiness, hands down. Um, and I actually don't think I think I told myself I wanted success, um, but I don't like, I didn't, I pursued it because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do, and it became crystal clear to me when I was in it and I was having success, um, that I'm like, "This is not it." Like, I'm still not happy, um And then, like, losing my dad was a big part of, like, that was the wake-up call. I'm like,
Yeah.
"What have I been doing for the past 28 years, and what do I want the next 28 to look like?" Um,
Yes.
so, yeah, I think, like, hands down, happiness, um, and if I can do that, honestly, being happy in 2025, that is success. It's like
Yes.
they don't
Yes.
look easy for us right now.
No, they don't. That is a great point. All right, we have just a couple months left to see how 2025 is gonna pan out. We have 1 quarter. We're gonna achieve that happiness
Q4.
goal.
Q4 is it. It's where it's going
Q4.
down.
That's right. Okay. What advice do you I love your answer, by the way, thank you. I love you were like, adamantly, it's happiness, people. That's so great. What advice do you have for people that are trying to figure out what to do with their lives?
Hmm. I would say, and the thing that really helped me is I think that trust is at the foundation of it's the basis and the foundation for everything. Um, like how we interact with ourselves, our family, other people, the world. And um, the biggest gift that I gave myself was that relationship that I had with my instinct.
Mm,
And just like unwavering trust in myself that no matter what happened, I would figure it out. Um, and to me, that is like, that's the advice that I would give anyone. We can spend so much time like living someone else's life or mulling over decisions. Um, and then we spend so little time making sure that the decision that we made actually works and like making it the right one. So, um, to me, it's like getting back to really trusting yourself, and that became so evident, like, when we did our trip. But even now, little things, like, I'm in the business of trust, that's what sales is, like, people have to I have to make them feel safe, they have to trust me in order for anything to move forward, and they can't do that unless I trust myself. And there's so much of our day to day that kind of separates us from trust. Like we have these smartwatches that tell us if we're dehydrated or if we've slept well or when to move. And it's slowly chipping away at the relationship we have with ourselves. And so um, to me, it is like, I think guard that relationship with everything you have and
mm.
invest in it. Um, and everything good stems from that.
Oh my god, that is such great advice. I have, if you're okay with it, a follow-up question on that because I love what you said. And I don't know about you, so I don't want to put this on you, but I know for myself, there have been times where I have tried to logic my way in or out of something, and I was so proud of myself when I was young and I was considered the very analytical person and I was praised for my analytical abilities. I mean, I'm sure you were too in finance, right? You have some aspect of that. And I think you mentioned economics being your background as well, right? And so there's a lot of analytics that go into that. But like I think logically, I'm analytical. I was a programmer, so that's how I started in my career. So I was really good at all of those things, right? And so this idea of intuition or emotion, even though I was a highly emotional person, it was something that I didn't prize. So I was just pushing it away. So I think in my life, I've had to have this journey of coming back to being okay with that and who I am. And it's not just logic. So I'm curious if any of that like resonates with you, and it's okay if it doesn't, but just how would you advise listening to that intuition and getting in touch with yourself in the way that you're describing for
Oh, I
people that have
love
been on a journey like me?
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, woo is considered bad and cheesy and all the rest of it. And like um yeah, so I do definitely resonate with that. And then coming from a family of economists who were very like education forward, like, we
Yeah.
sure as hell weren't sitting around talking about our feelings or like trust.
Yes.
I guess I would say I've now forgotten the question. Sorry, can you repeat the question one
Oh,
more time?
how do you recommend like getting into that trusting space with yourself?
So, the way that I think about it, because I ran into this exact situation so much in my early days of selling coaching. These are really smart women who have relied on their intellect to get them to where they are. And I always think like my brain and my intellect will tell me how to do something, and my heart is going to tell me what to do. And if you try to flip it around, you're going to be unhappy because I was when I listened to my brain saying, okay, finance is prestigious. This is what you're going to do. I was so unhappy. And when I did finally listen to my heart to be like, what do I want? Like, what would be fun? I made that decision based on, like, a gut assumption, and then my brain helped me figure it out. My intellect helped me land on my feet. So that's probably what I would say.
That's great. Thank you. I love it. What is the most liberating decision that you've been able to make since you've gone out on your own that you would not have been able to make before?
I kind of alluded to this earlier, but it's really being able to shed that professional veneer. I felt really buttoned up about sharing my own opinions, bringing my full personality, which is like a lot of snark, a lot of joking, a lot of like humor. I never felt comfortable doing that, um, especially online. And so much of what we do is online. So I would say, um, really kind of leaning into that and just releasing this expectation that I had of like how my content was going to land. Like that
Mm.
felt really liberating. And the second I did that, I started resonating more with people. And so I think like that's a really big one. And then being able to decide who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with. When I was in finance, I had to like my clients were people that I just did not see eye to eye with, and I had to manage their accounts anyway, and go to dinner and talk about things that I didn't want to talk about. And so, being able to choose who I work with feels so good because yeah, I don't have to work. I don't have to work with people I don't like or like, who who are just not representative of who I want to spend a lot of time with. So I think those two things feel the most liberating to me.
Oh my God, those are fantastic answers. And I love that for you. I love that for us to be able to, and I hope people listen to what you just said and are okay with being forthcoming
Yeah.
in that way. And I say that because I feel like, I talk to people all the time. Some of them are very transparent and honest and open and authentic, like you just were. And some of them, I feel like I can already sense they're like hedging what they're going to say because they don't want to, they're still in that space of not really wanting to rub somebody the wrong way or whatever. But I appreciate the honesty. And I
Mm.
think like that is so liberating to be able to say, I'm not going to work with somebody that I don't align with, that ideologically we're different. And I can't even imagine how painful it must have been to have to sit around that dinner table at times.
Well,
So,
it was the
you know,
worst.
yeah.
It was
So
the worst.
I'm thrilled for you at this
Thank
point.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Last question.
ah,
What is saving your life right now?
I mean, so you had mentioned it earlier, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but these conversations
Mm.
fuel me. And so, um, like I said, I'm just sort of in the thick of it right now with like everyone needs me. Everyone needs
Yeah.
the kid needs me, the husband needs me, my mom needs me, my clients need me. Everyone needs me. And I have um this year in particular, I have met so many cool women on LinkedIn. My friends make fun of me all the time. They're like, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm like, "Oh, my LinkedIn friend." And it'll be like Marion. Um, who we both know, by the way. But
Yes.
um, yeah, like what's saving me right now is the conversations that I have with my girlfriends. And I've always had a good solid group of girls or like women friends. But I would say in the last couple of years, it's really become clear to me like just how important it is for women to spend time alone with other women. It's so fulfilling, like, nothing makes me happier, and obviously, I love spending time with my husband and my son, but it's different, and I think especially now, I'm in perimenopause, and I'm just getting older, and, like, that's all I wanna talk about, and my husband's not gonna talk to me about it, So what's saving me for the women in my lives that were like, what is going on? And why are we not 25 anymore?
Seriously, it feels the same except for more aches. Come
Yes,
on.
exactly. That's
That's
saving me.
great. That's awesome. That's a great answer. And I really appreciate you sharing. If other folks want to follow along with what's going on with you and talk with you, maybe get some sales expertise and advice, what is the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, on LinkedIn is where I'm at every day, most of the day. So you can follow me on LinkedIn for some rants or for some sales advice, or a combination of both.
Yes, both are great. Love it. I love it. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you making time to talk with me. And I so appreciate everything that you shared today.
Thank you, Vanessa. I
Mm,
had so much fun. I would
yes,
love to chat with you anytime.
thank you. Okay. Now that you've heard the interview with Talitha, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to follow her on LinkedIn. I highly recommend it. There's something new and entertaining every single day, plus something educational. I wanted to share one of the takeaways that I've gotten from following her. Right now, she's talking about the old rules of sales just are not working. We're in the middle of a trust recession and possibly a broader economic recession. So you really need to do things in quite a different way. You'll learn more of that if you follow her. And she also has a lot more to offer. So check her out. Check out her framework at talitha davies.com. And of course, until I see you next week, go rewrite the rules.